Okay, I'm ready.
When I was a kid, me and my sisters would always do the superstar thing where you put your fingers under the armpits, then you're like...
You're speed running the game. I mean, to be fair, I was in the beginning too until I was like, okay.
I really was gonna say Sarah Michelle Parker. I was like, that is not right.
He's like Calcifer, okay? Yeah. It's perfect.
Hi, I'm Ammiel.
I'm Melissa.
This is Click and Flick. Welcome back.
Yes, thanks for tuning in.
In case you are new here, Click and Flick is a podcast where we do deep dives into some of our favorite and least favorite video games and movies.
Mm-hmm.
And so today we are starting with a click.
Yes. And this episode's click is Cozy Grove. And this game was released this year in March 2021.
It was?
It was, yeah.
I thought it was old, and I was like late to the game.
Nope, girl, you are on time.
Wowie, okay. Zowie.
Wowie zowie. It was luckily released on all platforms. It was on Steam, on Switch, on Xbox, PlayStation. Really cool. And I
from the launch date?
Yeah. And I heard about this game because of the Animal Crossing community. They all said you should play it. And it's an indie adventure life simulation game. If you kind of smush Animal Crossing and Don't Starve together, that's what you get.
Exactly. That's exactly.
It's awesome.
What I felt like playing.
Yeah. The art style is 2D and very watercolor heavy. The hues and the colors end up brightening up later, but I'll get into that. You start out by customizing your character, and you are a spirit scout, and you are going to this island called Cozy Grove. And when you arrive there, your character pops up onto this little dock, and you're basically told to go to Flamey, who is a flame, literally a campfire on the island. That is your guide, your spirit guide, kind of tells you what to do, what tasks and chores you have for the day are.
You kind of sold me on this game when you told me that. Go ahead. Who is he like?
He's like Calcifer, okay? Yeah. It's perfect. And it's like you're living Howl's Moving Castle with Calcifer as the head honcho of this island.
Yeah, it's like his spinoff.
Yeah, exactly.
Calcifer spinoff.
Yes. And he's so cute, and the animations are really cute in this game as well. But you're very self-sufficient, so you come into this island knowing that I get the vibe initially that it was haunted. That was my first impression.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But you talk to Flamey or Calcifer, and you go and kind of search the island, but it's all very mute color-wise. It's very plain. There's trees, bushes, beaches, obviously, and tiny little areas that look like there once was something there. And you first meet a ghost, which the bear shows up as this little square-like block of a bear.
You're also supposed to be like a bear, except you look like a little person.
Yeah.
And your beret has little bear ears.
Yeah, you're like a bear scout. It's cute. Yeah. It's adorable. And these little bears are blue before you talk to them, so they look like spirits, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And you talk to them, and there's so many different bears that you meet along the way as you progress in the island's adventure. And they each have their own personalities, and they really put a lot of depth into those NPCs, and they're really, really characteristic. Like, I don't remember the name of the bear that's on the beach, but I really liked him. It was like Seagull something.
Yeah.
I forget his name. But really cute. They all have a purpose, and the first bear that you meet is kind of like the head like bear scout spirit bear, and kind of starts you on your first adventure. And once you can, they give you little tasks to complete, and when you complete them, that area, it's really cool. This animation just kind of
Yes.
like comes to life. Everything gets color and
Right.
bushes and items.
Like Dorothy walking into Munchkin
Yes.
Land. Everything is like
Yes.
colorful after being dull.
Exactly.
The bear on the beach, his name is Captain Billwether Snout. And the first bear you talk to, I think, is Charlotte Pine. Is that right?
Charlotte Pine, yeah.
I think that was the first one I went up to talk to.
And yeah, and like I said, they all have their own little section of the island that you complete tasks for, and you light up the area.
Yeah, fill in the color.
Yeah, it's like a paint by number. And because I didn't complete the game, unfortunately. I would have liked to, but
no, I haven't gotten to finish it either.
Yeah, and there's really no end. This game plays on real time. And so you have a certain amount of tasks throughout the day you can complete, and then you got to come back the next day to finish. And there are decorative purposes in the game. You can build things to kind of, make an area really lush and really pretty. And there's actually purpose to placing like plants and bushes and small like chairs and tables and items that like have an effect on the plants and the imps that are in the game.
Yes. One thing I like too about the furniture and everything that you place is that for the most part you can still just walk through it. It doesn't get in your way.
Yes.
When you're just like walking around the map, because
yeah,
it's
thankfully.
It's just easier to get through places when you can walk through things.
Especially in the beginning when you're just navigating the area. Yeah. I completely agree. And you do level up throughout the game. There's really cute little badges that you win. And the good thing about this game too, when you do level up, you get resources that you actually need. And a lot of them, which is nice. That's not a very common like reward in leveling up systems and games. So I was personally really happy with that particular like reward in the game. Yeah, you basically save these spirits and give them kind of a purpose again to live in a cohesive island like setting. And there, one thing I didn't know, because I didn't get this far in the game, but the plants and the imps, you can feed these little imps and get to build relationships with them, because usually these little imps, you run by them and they're gone, they disappear.
Yes, but sometimes above their head they have like a little thing that they want.
Yeah, like a potato or like a mushroom or something. Super cute.
Any game that you can eat mushrooms, I love.
Solid.
I just like the image of it.
Oh yeah, it is super cute. I'd get a tattoo of that mushroom for sure.
Oh yeah.
But overall, a really cute game. A lot of people liked it, but a lot of people were expecting a lot more of
Yeah.
an in-depth game. And to be honest, I had that expectation when I first
Mm-hmm.
played it. But I wasn't disappointed. Have I picked it up in the past week? No, unfortunately. But it's not, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
it
I
doesn't have
would
replay value.
Right. I would definitely say, like, it's really cute. It's really,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
beautiful drawn, and it's really cute and well done. But
Mhm.
for sure, I would say easy to put down, easy
Mhm.
to not, like, have to pick back up.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no repercussions for not playing for a long period of time either. So it's, which is
Like,
nice, honestly. You don't get that guilt.
like in Animal Crossing when your hair gets messy. And then all your animals are like, you neglected me.
Yeah. I thought you forgot about me. Yeah.
The animals are like, wow, you've been ignoring me for months. I took it really personally.
Yeah, basically. The obligation is real.
Some of the things about this game, too,
Yeah.
about Cozy Grove, is that a lot of the items that you are looking for and picking up are so well, like, blend into the background.
Oh my god,
that
yes.
You're like, what the heck? Like,
you've passed by it like 8 times and you've searched the entire island but can't find it. Yeah. Same.
And then sometimes they give you, like, the bears will give you requests for items and stuff that then you have to finish a request that you get later before that item pops up. So you'll be looking around the island for this item and then be like, okay, I give up. Go get another request from a different bear. Do that request. And then the item pops up, like, right next to the bear that you were just talking. And it's like, oh, so, okay.
Yeah, I
so
did that.
Don't think that you have to just, like, just go around anytime there's an exclamation point on a bear. Just go help them. Even if you're in the middle of something.
Right. I did read, and once I kind of got the hang of that as well, I kind of understood that mechanism. But the purpose is literally to relax. And you know what's funny is, like, I was doing the opposite.
The purpose of the game is to relax? Says who? Yeah.
It's like, but yeah, you're supposed to go around and, like, mosey and, like, find these things.
Oh my god, I run the whole. I run. I'm holding B the whole time.
You're speed running the game. I mean, to be fair, I was in the beginning too, until I was like, okay, I'll take it as it comes, but because I'm that person that has to have every notification gone and off of my screen so I can relax. So, yeah, I get that.
The bears that you help to, when you, like, first discover them and first help them with their requests, they'll help you with certain things. Like, one of them is the post office. And so once you help him with his quest and stuff, then, like, you can start getting mail. And then every day you'll get, like, whatever packages to feed your bird or whatever.
Right. It's a really, it also is really well done. The post office is actually one of my favorite spots in the island.
It's cute. Yeah. One of the bears too, we can go back to the post office, but then I wanted to say one of the bears that you help also, once he's done being a spirit, after one of the requests, then he's like a carpenter who you learn recipes and you go up and do crafts to him.
That's right.
He helps you, like, build stuff, so you don't have your own workbench the way, like, or like Science Machine.
Yeah, Science Machine, exactly.
To make your own crafts, but so you do have to go to this bear to, like, do it. So, like, helping them and opening up those parts I think it also like makes the island bigger, doesn't it? Because I feel like
I think so too. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't stay tiny. It continues to
yeah,
grow.
it
Yeah,
continues to grow as you help them. So you help them, and then they're the more you help them, the more
beneficial it is.
benefits, that you
Mhm.
unlock, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's super, super rad. I would definitely rate this game at roughly about a 6 clicks. You know,
okay.
I enjoyed it initially when I was excited to play it. It looked stunning just from the image of what the game looked like to download. It was just
Mm-hmm.
pretty. And then when you hop into the game, seeing the bears, I was immediately sold. I was like, "Oh, that's cute. Oh my god." And and I only gave it 6 too cuz the replayability was like I haven't touched it in a long time, but cute nonetheless, and great concept, and
Mm-hmm.
very full for the most part if you're looking for a relaxing kind of game.
I feel like 6 is really nice. I'm gonna give it. I was debating between a 4 and a 5.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Because to me, I do enjoy those games, but for you to only have like such a certain amount of things to do a day, it just makes it slower and it just makes it less exciting to me.
I get that. So 4 or 5 is fair.
So I think 5. I think I'm gonna say 5 because it is really cute and I do really like the artwork, and I do like certain things about it. I just thought it was boring a little bit.
Good thing it wasn't an expensive game.
No, I only paid $8 for it.
Yeah, it's not expensive. It's really really kind of one of those things that you just gotta try.
Yeah,
like just to attempt it. Yeah,
it's fun, and I probably will continue to play it just to keep building the island.
Right.
Every now and then.
Right.
But I feel like it'll also be because you can only do so much a day, and then you put it down.
Yeah.
You keep it's not in your mind to remember to even go back. So you'll go days without playing and then go, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how cute it is.
Right. Right. Same.
It would have been nice if you could just keep going.
I agree. Speed run it and enjoy it that way.
Yes, because that's what I like to do. Mm-hmm. I don't like to get off a video game.
I binge. Yeah, I am a binge gamer. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, what is this week's flick, please?
So, this week's flick was Horse Girl from Netflix. On Netflix. Horse Girl by Netflix.
Horse Girl by Netflix.
Netflix original Horse Girl.
The title does it no justice, by the way. I was fully... the beginning of the movie is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
The whole time.
I was like, this is Horse Girl. This is it.
So, Horse Girl is starring Alison Brie, and it was directed by Jeff Baena, and it was written by Jeff Baena and Alison Brie, which I'm a big fan of Alison Brie. I've loved her since Community. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know she wrote this movie. I didn't know she had a writing credit on this at all until afterward. Until after I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, damn!"
It was baffling. Yeah.
Yes. So good. Okay, so I have my notes. I have my notes here.
I'm ready.
And it starts off with Sarah, who's Alison Brie's character. Mm-hmm. She's at work with her friend Joan, who's played by Molly Shannon.
I love her.
I love her so much.
A stunning actress. I love her.
When I was a kid, me and my sisters would always do the superstar thing where you put your fingers under the armpits and then you're like...
Yes. Oh, I haven't seen her face in a long time. It was nice.
She was in a show on HBO recently that I watched called Divorce with... What's her name? Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah Michelle Parker.
I was gonna say, I really was gonna say Sarah Michelle Parker. I was like, that is not right. Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so she's pretty funny in that also, Molly Shannon. Of course, I love her. And she was in the new Wet Hot American Summer Netflix series. Oh. Both of them that came out in the past. Well, they're not that new anymore. 2015 and 2016, I think.
Okay.
But they're talking, and Molly Shannon's telling her about her DNA test.
Oh,
basically.
That's right.
And she's talking about, which fun fact I wanted to share, because every time I hear people talking about their DNA test and they're like, oh, I'm 1% from this random country or whatever.
I can explain it because I actually had it happen to me.
Okay, go ahead.
I did Ancestry DNA. Okay. And, I got my breakdown, but it obviously goes from biggest percentage to smallest. And my smallest was 2% Portuguese.
Okay.
But they put on there that obviously that it's a range for a reason. And this 2% can be very, very minuscule, right? Come to find out, a month later, I get a new email saying your results have been updated. I'm no longer 2% Portuguese. Okay? So
girl, I'm 92% Portuguese.
Actually.
No.
But it's funny because her talking in the movie, I was like, that's me. That's
okay. So she's talking about her saying that it was like 1% West African or something. So the reason the reason the DNA tests are like that, it's not like they don't test like the ground that you're testing your DNA if this is like the country you're from. Like they're testing other humans' DNA, basically.
Yeah, constant updating database.
Right. So all they have is a database of DNA that they already have tested. Yeah. And to be honest, like it's mostly European in most of these databases. So a lot of the other countries, like African countries, Asian countries, South American countries, they don't have as big of a database. So when they have a DNA that matches, it doesn't show really if that's from that. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So this 2% is just basically like you have 2% of DNA that matches with 2% of DNA from somebody from this place. But that 2% of DNA from that person might not even be from that. That could be from their anything, you know what I mean? So it's just like this database that is constantly changing and isn't like even a good representation of every country. So it's like if you're mostly European, you can get a pretty decent like reading. Yep. But a lot of other places don't have huge database. That's what I've heard about those.
Yeah.
So basically in the beginning, they're having this talk and Molly Shannon looks out the window and sees a horse walking by. Just the ass.
Yep, just the ass.
Just the ass of the horse. And she's like, that's weird. But you can see that she's sitting there standing next to Sarah. Yep. And this is interesting because it's also, I think, one of the only times in the movie that is basically from a different character besides Sarah's perspective. Yep. So it's like this is the most of the movie we're seeing how Sarah sees things. And then in this kind of instance, it's Molly Shannon basically just seeing this horse, but
not really making much about it. She just looks and looks away.
She gives it a funny look and is like, whatever, looks away. Yeah. Then we learn a lot of things about Sarah in the beginning. We learn that she's a horse girl. She loves horses. That's like one of the few joys that she has in life.
Yeah.
She had a horse that she still loves and still likes to go visit, but she had to sell it.
Yeah.
And so she's like constantly going and seeing this horse, even though the new owners kind of are uncomfortable with it, and they kind of make it known like, okay, thanks for coming, you can leave now.
Exactly. Exactly.
She is a little bit creepy about it.
Yeah.
We find she loves the show Purgatory, which I think is supposed to be like a supernatural.
Yes. Yes. And the guy's name that she like is kind of like oodling over is Darren, so it's like Dean. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. I was like,
I was
oh
dying.
my god. I was like, oh my god. I never watched Supernatural, but I mean, obviously, it's made enough of a social impact that I can tell what a Supernatural parody looks like.
Exactly. Oh, that's funny.
So she basically just will, like, goes to work, goes home, and binge watches this show over and over again. We also learn that she has some history with sleepwalking, and that her mother is passed away. She goes and visits her mother. So these are all kind of like her backstory.
Yeah.
So it's her birthday, and she gets a DNA test for her birthday. Molly Shannon gives her, Joan, gives her a little kit for her to send in. And that day at work, she also runs into a tarot card reader who gives her like her card and a little thing of sage. But that night so it's her birthday, and that night she kind of is like, oh, I'm gonna go out with my friends after yoga. But then we see her at her yoga class, and it ends and everyone leaves, and you can tell like she doesn't actually have friends, and she's just going to go home and watch more TV. More Purgatory, and basically her roommate and roommate's boyfriend come and see her, that she's alone on her birthday, and they're like, well, let's party here. We'll invite his roommate. He's single, so we'll all hang out and party, whatever.
Yeah.
And she ends up like falling, like she's like infatuated with this roommate.
Yeah.
He's like, hi, my name's Darren. And she's like, oh my god, it's meant to be Darren. It's the same name as like.
And you get this clear vibe too that her roommate, the blonde girl, she's like this popular, like down to party kind of person, but clearly Sarah's not, and not socially adept.
Right. Sarah's like introverted for sure.
Yeah.
After the party, she has a dream where she's in basically just, it's an all white room, and she's like laying on a white
floor.
It's like the floor, but it's raised, but it's the way the dimensions are, it's like, it looks almost like an optical illusion because it seems like she's floating on nothing, but she is laying on something.
Yeah.
So she wakes up in this white room, and she looks and she sees a man like next to her on the same kind of like slab, and looks at the other side and sees a girl laying next to her on that side. And when she wakes up, there are scratches on the wall, and
she's on a bunch of pillows in the living room.
Yeah.
Still in her dress too.
Still in her dress from the party.
So
basically, as events start getting weirder and weirder, things start happening. Like her At one point she is like zoning out and leaving her car running at a stoplight. So she's like leaving her car at the stoplight, and then she gets a call from the tow yard that they're like, oh yeah, it was just out of gas. And the car,
Right.
the key was still in the ignition. And she was like, has no memory of this because she went home and woke up and thought that it was stolen.
Yeah.
We see that she's like going through pictures of her grandma, and her grandma looks identical to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's literally Alison Brie.
Yeah, in the photo.
In a dress, right? And she starts freaking out, and she starts like doing internet research, and she starts looking things up about alien abductions. So she goes and sees a doctor because she had been getting bloody noses.
Yeah.
So she just goes to like a nose, ear, and throat doctor for that, and starts asking him about her bruises and about cloning. And she starts asking him if cloning is possible and how to find out all this stuff. And he's like, oh, it's kind of weird. Later on, she's on a date with Darren, love of her life, dreamboat boy.
Yes.
And actually, he's not bad looking in the movie.
Well, before the date, she slowly starts to like seek out, because at work she found that when she looked out the window, she saw the guy in her dream. The guy that she looked over to and saw the back of his head, and he went into a van, and he got into some plumbing van, and she was trying to find out this guy.
Right.
She needed to talk to him.
She's like, I know I'm not crazy because
he exists.
He's in real life. And we also know that her grandmother had this same kind of history of talking about alien abductions and being crazy. And she says that her grandmother thought she was from the future.
Yep.
So she's like, I don't think my grandmother was crazy anymore. I think that she is right because I'm feeling these same things now.
Right.
So, but that guy, like, is no help. He's kind of like a dead end because he doesn't remember anything about the dream. He doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
The whole, like, plumber thing is not, like, kind of leads her nowhere.
Yeah.
So she's on this date with Darren, and she starts asking him if he believes in aliens. And he starts going off on, like, oh, yeah, I believe in aliens, like, conspiracy theory type of stuff. But she takes it she gets really excited about it and is like, oh, someone will believe me.
Yeah.
And starts going really crazy and ends up taking him to the graveyard where her mother is buried. And did I say that weird? Buried.
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 And like at first she was like, they had ended their dinner date and had moved on. She's like, I want to take you somewhere. He was like, okay. And then they end up in front of the dude's house. And he's literally eating dinner with his wife. And he's like, what? Like, she's like, you see that guy? And he's like, he's eating dinner with his wife? And she's like, that guy's a fucking liar. He was like, what?
So he starts getting freaked out, and then she takes him to the graveyard, which just sends it over the edge, basically.
Yeah.
Right? And so she has these scissors, and are like, we're gonna get my mom's DNA so we can test to see if I'm her clone.
Oh.
And he's like, at first he tries to like help her, and he's like, come on, let's go, let's get in the car. Like, I don't want to leave you here. It's not safe. Right. And she's like, she flips on him that he starts saying, oh, this is crazy. She's like, oh, you're lied to me. She's like, oh, you're a liar to me too. Who do you work for? Who sent you? What are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. and
she starts screaming for help.
She starts screaming for him to leave and screaming for help like he was trying to attack her.
Right.
Then she goes back home and is like kind of just off the deep end at this point with everything electronic in the house she has running at full blast. She has the sage that she got from the tarot store from the store she works at. She works at a craft store. Mm-hmm. The tarot card reader gave her the sage and she's burning the sage and
she has these like pink drapes that the tarot reader had said that this is a safe color. She was looking around in the store and the tarot reader was like, I'm looking for a specific shade, and then Sarah recommends or brings her to this like skein, but like yard of fabric. She's like, oh, I like this one. And then what I've noticed when she starts going crazy right here, all of the windows are just covered in this like light peachy pink fabric all over the place.
The peach pink fabric is like representative of her, I feel like, accepting that her like crazy reality that she keeps saying isn't true, but realizing it is true and that these things are happening to her. Mm-hmm. The more the peach is in the film.
Yeah.
Whereas in the beginning, it's just this light baby blue color that's kind of dominant
everywhere.
In what she's wearing and all around her, and that's her kind of her lucid state. Mm-hmm. Is this like blue color?
True.
So everything in this room is this peachy color now. Everything's on. We can tell that this is like an intense moment of her, like kind of losing control of her mind. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to her getting in the shower. I mean, after this scene, we see her getting in the shower, and she's just like, just still doesn't know where she's at because she thinks she's in her apartment, but she's taking a shower at her work. And when she comes out, she's completely naked and in the middle of the store, dripping wet. And she comes to and she becomes lucid in that moment and starts screaming for Joan to come help her.
Oh, this is so sad.
She starts trying to cover herself up in like fabric and
in that exact peach color of fabric. It was crazy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, and Joan comes over and is like,
everybody get out.
We're closed. Leave.
Yeah.
And she takes her into the back office and she starts talking to her and she's like trying to explain to her how she's feeling. And then Joan is trying to calm Sarah down and the phone rings.
Yeah.
So Sarah answers the phone and on the phone she hears Joan's voice and it's Joan saying to someone like, just go clock out, go home. Mm-hmm. And then right after she says that in real life, someone comes up and Joan turns around and says, just go clock out, go home. Mm-hmm. And then on the phone, she hears her say like, how are you feeling? Are you okay? And then Joan turns around and says, how are you feeling? Are you okay? And it's the exact same tone.
Yeah.
And for a few lines, she hears exactly what she's going to say on the phone. And then Joan turns around and says it exactly with the same inflection, the same, like, everything. Mm-hmm. And Sarah's basically like, Sarah goes, I can hear the future. And then that's when Joan kind of gives up on her, I think.
Yeah.
And calls the cops to have her basically like institutionalized.
Yeah.
She's only there. I mean, so she goes to this like psychiatric ward and she is talking with this new doctor who is
evaluating her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he says that he was her doctor before, and she's like, what? I don't remember that at all. And he's like, oh yeah, you were here a couple weeks ago. And she's like, what? But the doctor is Jay Duplass, and he and Mark Duplass are the executive producers. And I didn't know that this was a Duplass Brothers film either, which I've loved, like, all of their movies too.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually have a friend who's worked on one of their films too.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah. But anyway, so J. Duplass plays the doctor, and he's like she's trying to explain to him that she now believes that she's oh wait, maybe this isn't. Oh wait, no, she has her dream first before they have that conversation. So the dream starts off with her not even falling asleep. The nurse leaves her room, and then she follows the nurse out. So as she's following the nurse out of the room, she leaves the hospital. And then as she's leaving the hospital, you see that she's in her room still in the window looking down on herself.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah. So
Well, I didn't
then
see her in the window.
Mm-hmm. It zooms in for like a second that it's her looking in the window.
Mm-hmm.
But then the dream her that's walking out of the hospital goes back to her apartment, and she sees a girl who we don't know yet, but it's the girl who she hasn't met her yet, but she's the girl that she saw in her dream in the white room.
Yeah.
But now she's in her apartment, and she's wearing her roommate's like outfit.
Right.
And she's like, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" And she leaves, goes to her room in her apartment, and then jumps out of the window of her room and goes to her craft store, where she takes that peach fabric and makes this like full body suit.
That's
like,
right.
Like a jockey, like a horse jockey, almost, just like under outfit, and makes a matching outfit for the horse. So she goes back and puts it on the horse, and then runs into the new owner, who's like really like creepy evil looking at this point, because they were always before like friendly, trying to be nice to tell her to leave, but in this dream he's like, "Get out," like really like scary. And so she leaves and goes back to, I think in her dream she's leaving, and she goes to Darren's apartment.
Yes.
Yeah, so because it's not in her room. So she's in Darren's apartment, and then she starts dreaming that he says, "Oh, I love you."
Yeah.
And he takes down her little mask and starts kissing her.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up having some really hot and heavy adult time that he turns into, in the middle of humping, turns into Darren from Purgatory.
Oh God, that's right. Yep.
And she's like, "Oh wow, you're so hot." Then after she's having sex with him, she looks up and he's sewing on like her sewing table.
Yeah.
And so now it's like the dream is shifting, and she's cutting fabric, and she cuts a piece of fabric open, or she cuts a piece of fabric in half, and it cuts open into like the white hallway.
Yeah.
Where she starts walking through, and then she sees herself laying on the slab with aliens like giving her like a side massage, but it's like their fingers are big and they're choppy. Long, and so she sees that that's how she's getting these bruises, because she sees herself on the slab in her party dress getting these bruises. And then she sees the girl next to her, she sees the guy next to her as well. So she keeps walking through, and then she ends up in her dream going and laying down in bed next to her friend who we had met earlier, that she was a friend that she rode horses with, but ended up getting in an accident and getting really badly injured that she couldn't ride anymore.
Yeah.
And it could possibly be that her friend's accident is what made Sarah not want to ride horses anymore. Like she could have, like it could have made her so scared to ride her horse that that's what made her sell it, even though she still loved it.
Right.
She couldn't like ride it anymore.
Yeah.
But when she wakes up, she's back in the hospital room and she's laying next to the girl who she saw in the white room.
Yeah.
Who was also the girl wearing her roommate's clothes in her dream.
Right.
So she wakes up and she sees that this girl is her roommate and they start talking and she finds out that this girl is the character's name is Jane Doe because they don't know her real name because she said she fell asleep in 1995 and she woke up and she was like, all the buildings are different. I can't find anybody I know.
Yeah.
And every time I tell somebody, they say I'm crazy.
And she's like, and Sarah says, I believe you. Like,
yeah, she's like,
I get it.
I've seen you in the room, in the white room with the bridge. And she's like, how do you know about that? That's a dream I have. And she goes, she remembers because Sarah wakes up on the table just like Jane Doe does. And that's how they're able to remember. That's why the guy didn't remember when she saw him, the plumber, because he kept sleeping throughout the whole time.
Right.
But the two girls would wake up, and that's why Jane Doe remembered, and Sarah remembers what it looks like. So Sarah starts putting the pieces together, and when she's talking to her doctor again, she starts explaining, I don't think I'm a clone. My grandmother always thought she was from the future. Like, these aliens can take us from different times. She goes, I think I am it makes sense. I am my grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, girl, you crazy.
He's like, huh, very interesting, ma'am.
Yeah. No, he's basically like, I wish you wouldn't take like medical advice from
patients. Yeah.
From other patients. And she's like, it's not advice, it's just the truth. Like, we both have the same experience. She realizes that once she realizes the truth, basically,
in her reality,
she decides that the last thing to do, basically, is to go back home. She puts on her grandmother's old dress, which is that peach color. And she goes and steals her horse. She dresses all up, and she dresses her hair, her makeup, all like her grandma,
like the photograph. Yeah.
Just like the photograph, and goes and takes the horse and walks it all the way into the middle of, takes it from the stables, walks it through the city. They pass by the store, which we see in the window. Then Molly Shannon look up, notice that horse ass.
Yep.
Passing and then get back to work. And she walks the horse all the way to the forest and takes her shoes off and lays down in the dirt, and an alien ship abducts her and beams her up, Scotty, into this.
Yeah. And the horse is just sitting there eating something from the bush, and her shoes are left. And that is... And it does cut briefly because it's looking up at the sky, at the beam. And then once the beam kind of fizzles and goes, it gets smaller, you realize once the beam is gone, it is a baby blue piece of fabric. I don't know if you saw it or if I'm crazy or what, but at the end, it turns into just it's like somebody took a shot of this baby blue fabric at the very end. It was crazy.
I didn't notice that looking like fabric at the end, but that is perfect.
Right. Come full circle.
That's exactly how it opens too.
Yeah.
who's with the blue fabric.
Yeah.
I do have to say, it's the exact same scene when she's walking the horse and we see Molly Shannon look up.
Mm-hmm.
We see Sarah standing next to her in the store talking with her. It's the back of Sarah's head.
Oh, really?
So it's like she really is like time traveling.
Crazy. I didn't pay attention to that detail. Oh, because I was so. I mean, I live for these kind of movies and games where it hits you on a cliffhanger. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck happened?
Mm-hmm.
And for that to be kind of like the semi conclusion of her being in the store. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think overall, this movie being a statement on mental health
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like I think what I've seen is a lot of people are saying that her symptoms or characteristics would kind of align with the same as schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
What I've heard is that schizophrenia is said to appear
Later on in life.
in a lot of people, like kind of in the mid-30s.
Yeah.
And that could be an indication of it being her birthday.
Yeah.
And then things start kind of happening.
Yeah.
But then with those little details of like her actually being in the same room with Molly Shannon at the end, her roommate actually seeing the scars, it's like these things are real. Yep. They're not just in her head, so they are real, you know? And I mean, who knows? It could be it could be a statement on like these mental battles that we have are real.
Right. But I get it. I've only ever come to know one person that had diagnosed schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was also a time in my life where this person was somewhat influential on my partner. It was his father. Mm-hmm. And he was great on his medication. And when I say great, he didn't have delusions. And these delusions were so real to him, you know, and he could function in society. But there were times sometimes it would shine through the medication and sometimes it wouldn't. And especially when he didn't take the medication, there were clear instances where he would think somebody in a store said something to him when they didn't. And it was very eye-opening, which this movie, touching on certain things like that has really made me, what's the right word? Empathetic or sympathetic? Or apathetic?
Empathize.
Empathize. Yeah. It makes me, it makes me scared for my own reality, first of all, just because I always am afraid of losing my sense of reality.
Yeah.
But also, like, that is what people live. That is their truth, and that is their mind doing it to them. So it was just a very eye-opening, something that I haven't been a part of or seen in quite some time, like 10 plus years. Mm-hmm. So it was, it messed with my brain.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I thought it was really good. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be, from the title and from
right,
from the trailers. I mean, I really liked it.
I did too. I could enjoy the story a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought the writing was really good for it. It was slow for sure, but those kind of like indie movies like to do that, I think, where it's like taking your time with each scene and you're just like watching the character walk down a hallway.
Yeah, but you're also seeing small details.
But you're seeing the world from their perspective. And I do like that. I do like that a lot about this movie.
Me too.
I think I'm going to give it a solid 7 flicks.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a solid 7 flicks because I did think it was really good, you know. There obviously were some like lines here and there that I was like, oh yeah, that's like a typical cheesy movie line or whatever. Like when she's all, who are you working for? Like that's everyone's. Yeah. That's like everyone says that in every movie as soon as they turn on the person who they're like boyfriend or whatever. So I'm all, okay, that's all good. All fun, all good. I give it a solid 7, I think. Yeah.
I feel that. I'm going to give it 8 flicks because it resonated with me. It was, it immersed me and gave me a panic attack.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more knowledge and awareness you have of yourself, even though self-awareness can be very destructive.
Self-awareness does not absolve anyone of anything.
Yeah, exactly. But it opens a realm in your brain and your thought process that you don't delve in on your own unless you do have symptoms of some kind of mental struggle.
Right.
And it was very I laughed. There were some funny parts. And it was very well written, like you said. It was just wow.
And I kind of think too, the part in her dream where she's watching herself walk out, it's like it really shows you how observant people are who have like who are like, do have mental illness. Like you're constantly looking at yourself and like judging what you're doing and everything around you, trying to observe, trying to understand.
And it's a lot.
Instead of just like kind of being, instead of just like living in it, you're like observing yourself and watching yourself. So that's kind of what I felt like when I saw her. But yeah.
Definitely.
8 flicks. I think I could have given it 8 flicks too. I think I was just giving it 7 because I was trying to be critical, but I think 8 flicks. I think that's fair. I
didn't have anything bad to say other than my panic attack.
Yeah, and I honestly I love the Duplass brothers. I love so many of their movies. If I had known this was one of their movies beforehand, I would have been like jumping on it to watch it a long time ago. But yeah. I loved it. I thought it was good.
I would recommend watching it, that's for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. But
that was a good episode. It was full and fun, yeah. I liked it.
Exciting. Can't wait for next week.
I know. It's going to be good. Do we have to do a closing one for this?
We go, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Hey folks, thanks for listening and sticking around.
If you enjoyed what you heard, subscribe and follow for some more Click and Flick content.
If you'd like to hear us talk about your favorite movies and video games, you can send us your suggestions to clickandflickpodcast@gmail.com.
That's click, A-N-D, flick, podcast@gmail.com.
We can't wait to hear from you guys.
Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.